I knew I had the problem, but I didn't know what the solution was. And that was a solution that was really great for me. Very possible that I'm not even going to think about you. How do you remain top of mind so that people think about you when they need you? And I think that's a big key. It unlocked my time more. Actually, that in a sense allowed me to sell more.
Yeah, Danny, I watched a few of your most recent podcasts and I saw that you brought on a fractional COO. So I'd love to dive a bit into that on what made you make that hire and how have you seen the changes in your operations and profitability from that?
Yeah. So honestly, I wasn't looking for it. I knew that I was working crazy hours to a point where it's like, 12-hour days, 13-hour days. And I can't say I didn't like it. Like, obviously, you're in it, you're working. And it was, I would say, about a year after COVID, when Clubhouse, for those who don't know, that was a pretty cool social app. It was all audio. And I had a friend who ran a room every Friday, and he invited me to come in for a specific, it was basically for people looking for jobs and kind of marketers networking. And so I was there talking, and then in walks into the room, and obviously it's not physically, right? This lady called Leah Leaves, and she's like, "Hey, I'm a fractional COO for digital marketing agencies." I never heard of that before. I was like, "Wow, that's a really cool idea. I better better speak to this lady." And that's where it started. Spoke to her, found out about this idea of that I'm the visionary and have the idea, but I'm doing a lot of the things that I'm not supposed to. And getting someone like that to help me come up with systems and processes and teach me how to delegate was key. So that's when I realized, like, I knew I had the problem, but I didn't know what the solution was. And that was a solution that was really great for me. I signed up for like 3 months, and then it ended up being for almost 3-4 years, right? So pretty crazy. So regarding your question about like profitability or just growth, so yeah, the idea was, with everything on my shoulders. Now, at that point, I was still an agency of about 5-6 people, so it wasn't necessarily everything on me, but a lot of the, a lot of the decisions, a lot of the like the hiring, a lot of those things were. So by learning how to delegate, finding the things that I don't really need to do, and we could find other people to do, it unlocked my time more. And actually that in a sense allowed me to sell more, right? And so over, like, let's say the past 3 years, our sales really did grow a lot. And then we had those systems and processes both in uh, um, the existing workforce, as well as the additional people that we needed to hire, that they could come in and onboard relatively easily because we had this amazing system in place. Yeah, so I think that's sort of the intro.
Awesome. And delegation, Danny, is something that every agency owner I've interviewed has talked about. It's a real struggle for them. Most of the time, just to put that control into someone else. What was your tips transitioning then into that period where you were able to confidently delegate?
So to say it was easy is a lie, right? Like, yes, it's really, really hard. Um, I think the first exercise I did was to track everything I did for like 48 to 72 hours, just to get a baseline of like, what am I doing? And then afterwards, sort of analyzing that and saying, okay, what does Danny really need to do? And what are things that he doesn't have to? So yeah, I guess that initial realization, you need to have first, right? It's sort of like if you have a problem, you need to admit that it's a problem first. So the way to do that is we're so busy during our days, and a lot more often than not, at the end of the day, we're like, man, I feel like I didn't accomplish anything, but I did. I was really busy, right? So to have tracking and seeing what you did is really key. So after that point, it's kind of having faith, So thank God I had that COO who I had a little bit of faith in. I could trust. Like it's kind of like jumping into the unknown, but you don't know, but they're going to be like, it's okay. So having that partner who can like also make you feel good. And then the biggest thing is the realization that whenever you hand something off to someone else, it's never going to be the same way as if you were to do it. And let's say the best it could be is like 80%. Once you come to that realization and realize that, 80%, if you did it right, 100%, but if 80%, it's still going to be okay. It's going to be good, right? Because your 80% might be someone's 100%, and that's okay. And once you realize that, and like, oh my gosh, like the client didn't leave, or my invoicing still went out, and it's okay. You realize, okay, this is okay. And then once you do it, it's a lot easier to do it again.
Awesome. And obviously a big part of delegation is knowing that you've got the right team to delegate it to. So if we talk about hiring, Danny, what advice would you give to avoid hiring mistakes?
So I would say one of the things that we've done is we have a very healthy full-time to contract ratio. Um, when you go down the full-time path, it's a very, you're committing and there's a lot going on there and you need to make sure that it's the right person. But and I mean, you always have to make sure it's the right person, but there's a lot more stakes, right? Heavy stakes in the game. But having contractors and, potentially let's say if I need a new client, let's say there's always that balance. Do I need to get more work before I hire, or do I hire more before I work? And that was something really hard for me, especially early on in my agency. But realizing, hey, there's this concept of a contractor or a freelancer, and they don't need to do 40 hours a week, but maybe I only need 5 hours a week right now, and someone could be really good and focus on that. So that allows me to bring flesh blood in, be able to take on more work, and then yes, if it gets to a point where I need to have them for more hours or hire full time, that's really good. So I know that's not for everyone, but for us, that was really key in being able to, you don't have to go from 0 to 100 and get a new person every time, but can we find really good people and more fractional to do to certain things? And then, yeah, as the work grows, we work with them and either, they might not be the right person to be on full time, but then at that point, we're confident enough to get someone full time.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because in our early stages of our business, it was nearly all full-time work that we did. But so many clients are coming to us now and they're like, oh, well, we really like them or we really like two of them. Like we bring them on, 10, 20 hours a week, and then can we bump that up and transition them into full-time? And yeah, I feel like a lot of people are doing that right now.
Yeah, I think it's becoming the norm, and that's good, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It also allows, like, let's say the people who are working, it provides them with more flexibility. Like, they don't have to just work with one company. They could work with 4 or 5 or 2 or 3, whatever works for them. And for some people, they like that. Like, it gives them some more variety. And, so especially in the remote world that we live in now, it's very conducive to that. And I think that's a big reason, right? Right. With remote being the big way it is, that allows people to work, I would say, multiple jobs at once.
Awesome. And Danny, in a past podcast, I heard you mention that you had a 50% turnaway rate for potential clients. How did you develop that?
Oh man, it's tough. It's tough. Especially truly, like, I want to help people. And a lot of times I'll get referrals and it will be like a friend of a friend. And I want to find a way to help them. So the answer is that as a business, as you're growing, you need to realize what is the right type of client, the right fit. Not every client is going to be the right fit. And that fit will be dependent on maybe what you're really good at, um, the type of business. So whether it's like a startup or a real corporate or somewhere in between, where you've had experience and say, okay, with startups, they don't really have enough money. Really corporate, we try to get stuff done and we're not able to, and it's really, really frustrating. So it's really just kind of going through that process and learning from your mistakes. Like, we've tried certain types of clients and it just didn't work for us. And in the end of the day, even if they were paying us money, but with all the time and effort and pain, then we actually lost money for opportunity cost or just stress and things like that. So you get to a point where it's like, okay, we kind of know who we want to go after. And in the long run, that's going to be the right client because we'll be able to grow with them. And therefore, anything else that comes your way, to tell them, sorry, we can't work with you, it's very difficult, but it's the right thing. And once again, having that team and that sort of like that we can work together and be like, guys, like, I'm a little scared. Can I push them away? And they'll be like reminding you, no, Danny, like, this is who we're going after. This is the reason. It helps to, like, even though you're scared, but to do it together with other people, it helps as well.
Absolutely. And that's something that I can relate to as well. Being a recruitment company that specializes in SEO, we go so much into the candidate vetting process that, like, we're just like, oh yeah, any client will just bring them on as long as we can service them. Absolutely. Until then we built a client vetting process. And, when the first time I said no to a client, like, it kept me up all night. I was like, what have I done, Josh? Like, you at the start of your business, you would never have done that. But it always works out better in the long term because the clientele that you work with are better and your team are happier as well.
Exactly.
Awesome. And yeah, so one thing I wanted to talk about on that is client acquisition. I went to Ryan Shirt's mastermind in Miami, and it was all about agency acquisition and client acquisition. And nearly everybody in the room who had an SEO agency, all their client acquisition came from referrals. Is that something that Optidge does, or do you have any other channels that bring in clients for you guys?
So our main, yeah, our main source of is referrals, and I wouldn't say it's like referrals from other agencies. It's really from our clients. So it's pretty crazy that we've grown over the past 7 years to where we have through sort of this natural growth. But I would say there's two other areas. One, we've started doing some paid media in our own right to test the waters out a little bit there. And number two, me as sort of the CEO and founder, I am putting out a lot of content there and putting myself out there. So I want to make myself visible. And therefore, when people think, I need help with digital marketing, so I'm going to speak with Danny. So that's a little bit of softer sell because I'm not always going on, let's say, LinkedIn and saying, hey, I do digital marketing. But, I talk about a lot of different things, but I just want to be in the forefront. So I'll give you a beautiful example. I actually wrote a LinkedIn post about this recently. But I have two amazing leads in the past month or two where these were individuals who were out of jobs. And either I commented on something or sent them a message like, hey, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Let me know I can help you. And when I did that, I didn't do it because, hey, maybe I'll get something in the future. No, it was like literally, like, I felt bad for them. And, what can I do to help? And both those people eventually found jobs. And then when they got into the job, they're like, okay, we need digital marketing help. One was both of them were actually more from a paid media side, and they were like, Danny, we thought of you because when we were down, you spoke to us, and I was like, oh man, I'd really love to work with you. So that was amazing. So that's like the number one is the point is you just be good and kind, and and then that's how the world works, and please God will be kind to you as well. But the idea here also is just to be top of mind, right? Like if you're just there and there are people going to think about you. So I could be, we could be really good friends, and I know that you do SEO recruiting, but if we haven't spoken in a while and suddenly I need a new candidate, it's very possible that I'm not even going to think about you. Even though we know each other really well, when we get on the phone, we're chilling and it's great. But at that point in time, if you're not top of mind, so how do you remain top of mind so that people think about you when they need you? And I think that's a big key. And it's tied with referrals, but you need to do something to like spark that referral.
Quick pause. If you're getting value from this conversation about scaling agencies and hiring top talent, I want to share something that might help you. Are you struggling to find A players for your digital marketing agency? We've got you covered. For SEO experts who turn rankings into revenue, head to SEOforhire.co. For paid media specialists who boost your bottom line, check out paidmediajobs.com. And if you're looking for foot rubs, you're definitely in the wrong podcast. All right, let's jump back into the episode. Yeah, it's funny. You're good at staying top of the mind, by the way. I scroll through LinkedIn and on YouTube and I see shorts of your podcast up everywhere. Awesome. And Danny, what's your strategy for upselling current clients?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I could say we could do better with it. In general, it's hard because some companies are like all about selling. Sometimes like we want to sell more, but we also want to do what's right. Um, but I think we've gotten better, right? Because at one point we didn't even want to do the ask, right? Like, ooh, they're going to get angry. But then we realized, no, like if you have a good point, like, hey, I've got a good, if you spent this much more, this is how much we could do. And we think we could do more. So then, yeah, then go ahead and ask for it. Worst comes to worst, the client will tell you no. But then they'll see like you really care. And I feel like I don't remember the exact case, but scenarios where we've done the opposite, where we haven't spoken up, they may have gone to someone else who they feel like actually cares about them more. So even though we thought we were caring about them, but really it like came off with the opposite extreme. So the nice thing about our agency is because we do both organic and paid, we have these opportunities to do upsells a lot more because people usually will start with one area. And then once that's going well, we'll be like, okay, you see, hey, you trust us now. We know what we're doing and it's time to grow. Let's go ahead and try something else. So that is, that's one advantage that we have in that is that it's more of like a cross sell than an upsell. And then on the paid media side, I know this is an SEO podcast, but on the paid media side, our fees are tied in with ad spend. So naturally, if we're able to get some more ad spend out there, then our fee can increase. But we actually have a meeting today with an upsell for SEO. It was a client who unfortunately had to lower their retainer with us. But we were doing such a great job that we asked, hey, we'd love to do more. And it took a while to get there, but he agreed. And we're actually signing a new contract today. So I think, don't be afraid to ask. And you can't sell for the sake of sell. You have to have a good reason for it. But I think what can stop people is just, oh my gosh, if I ask, they're going to, get the wrong perspective. And I think that's not the case.
Awesome. Really, really valuable answer there. So Danny, cash flow. Cash flow's a tough topic that I don't see a lot of people talking on the likes of LinkedIn and so forth. Has Optidge dealt with cash flow issues, and how have you managed them?
So I feel like the past couple of years, or maybe a year or so, it's taking people longer to pay. And it's kind of annoying. I don't want to be the guy who's like, having to call, to email. And also, like, I feel that, anyone who sends me an invoice, I got to pay them right away. Right. And I feel that way. I don't want to schlep them. So it's a balance, I think what we're trying to do moving forward is to get people on credit card, ACH, so that we're just, running their card or running their ACH on an ongoing basis. It's not going to work for everyone, but I think that's really the key, right? Just like with any service. So we're trying to do that better. We've in place better systems of, like, after a certain amount of days, this is the type of email we send. After a certain amount of days, we have a phone call. So that has helped as well. Sadly, I've had a couple people that I've had to send to collections, and with that, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's difficult. But I think we could solve this all just setting expectations better at the beginning and not waiting. Like, I think the problem that I've had is just being nice, right? Like, they'll say, okay, we'll pay, right? And 1 month goes by, 2 months goes by, and then I really get messed over, right? But it's more like being strict. As much as I want to help this person, and I know that if I cut them off, I'm not going to get that money. But if I keep them on, I'm most probably not going to get the money either. And now I'm going to be spending all this time. So it's a difficult one, right? And I think the more you grow, the more you deal with it. So, as you can see, we're kind of fighting it on multiple fronts, and, hopefully doing all these things together can help us.
Awesome. And Danny, in your agency life, what's been the most expensive lesson?
Ooh, I have a good one for you. So last year, the year before, we were looking for a agency platform that would allow us to better understand our utilization of our team, as well as be able to forecast what was going on. And we had the demo, and it was really good and it made sense. And I basically agreed to like a 12-month contract. So we're talking about, multiple $1,000s. And once we got in there, it just didn't match. Like, it was made for more like time and material type projects. We do more retainer based, and retainer kind of has its own feel and way of doing things. And yeah, it just didn't work. And we were locked in, but it was so, so in the end of the day, we tried to get out of it, but they didn't want to. I think they give us like a little bit of a discount here or there, but it was a very expensive mistake, and it's just hard. Like, and it's happened to me in other scenarios as well, where like I feel like I'm doing my due diligence, and and I've vetted it out, but then you get in, and then once you're in, you kind of see that there's problems. So look, it happens sometimes, and like, if it's with any sort of risk, right? It's a return. It could have been really, really good and the solution that we needed, but it didn't end up being that way. So it's okay. And we've moved on from that.
Awesome. And Danny, what's in your agency journey, what's one thing that you wish you knew at the start that you know now?
Can I say two?
Yeah, you can say three.
Cool. So one would be, I mean, we spoke about delegation before, but I think learning about that a little bit earlier would have, I think, propelled us a little quicker. The other thing is, the foundation of my agency is really kindness and thinking about people first. And that's been really important, and why people say they like working at Optidge. Like they come in and they're like, wow, we've never been to an agency like this. And multiple people say it. Most people say it when they come and work with us. And that really means a lot to me. And I want to keep it that way. There have been times over the past 3 years where we're growing, and sometimes maybe I'll make the wrong decision here or there, meaning maybe less of the people decision and more of the business decision. So where I'm getting at is I would want to tell myself at the beginning, Danny, even though you're going to start growing and you're going to want to make decisions that are more business favorable, but you should try, right? Try as much as you can to always put the people first. And that's going to truly lead you down the right path.
Awesome. Awesome. And Danny, let's just pretend you're sitting down with your leadership team, your strategy team, and you're discussing ways to double your revenue next year. What kind of strategies are you talking about?
So upsells and cross sells, that's going to be the easiest one. Increasing our pricing. And then once again, saying no to those smaller sized clients, even the ones who might seem a good fit, but if they can't afford our higher minimums, then we're just going to have to say goodbye to them, and we can't clog up the pipeline for things that can come bigger. So between those three things, and then maybe spending a little bit more money on advertising, those four things can help us lead us in the right direction.
Awesome. And Danny, my last question for you is, what's been the hardest skill or knowledge area to master as an agency owner?
Ooh. I have to think for a second. Obviously, we spoke about delegation. I would say naturally, I am very averse to change, and I take things very personally. So the two things that I've really had to work on is, number one, that change is okay. And I've been working on that since I was 14 and left home to go to boarding school in California. So it's a constant battle for me, and I'm working on it. But then it's so important to be open to feedback, especially if you're the agency owner. And even if you say that you're open to feedback, sometimes when people give you that feedback right away, you're like, oh, what are you talking about? Right. So it's number one, it's the one thing is to be open to feedback, but then also when you're getting that feedback, you have to step back, not take it personal, hear it, and be able to change. And as a leader of my agency, I have to work really hard to do that. And I want it. It's not that I don't, I want it. And then hopefully by me doing that, that also opens everyone else to follow in my footsteps, to be open to feedback and to communicate with people, be okay to give that feedback. Because that's the only way that a remote agency can work, is when we have that free flowing communication. People aren't afraid to tell people what's going on or to receive. And once we have that sort of ecosystem, then the sky's the limit.
Awesome. I love that. Danny, I don't know if you've read The Four Agreements by Don Miguel.
I have not.
No, I've got your address. I'm gonna send you the book. But it's about four agreements, and one of them is all about don't take things personally. And it's a game changer for when I read it for the first time. But awesome, Danny. Thank you so much for that. Quick pace value. If anybody wants to follow you along on your journey, where can they find you?
Yeah, so check me out on LinkedIn, or you can find my podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's called The Digital Marketing Mentor. And if you need anything, just reach out.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that video and got some kind of value from it. If you did, please make sure to leave a comment in the comment section and let me know any feedback that you have for future videos. And of course, hit that subscribe button, because we will be releasing videos every single week. So you're going to want to stick around. Thank you, and see you in the next one.